Okay, so today what I'm doing is working on a project. I need some pages to cover uh, a couple things that I'm going to cover in gel prints for my desk, a couple cups and a few other things to go with that little elephant I made last week. And I wanted to do some gel prints, but I wanted to get away from I want to use my stencils, but these lines drive me nuts. And I usually cut them. I haven't cut any in these two packages that I've got of the, what are these, 6-inch ones? But I'm going to cut off that squared off border so that I don't have to worry about it when I'm printing. It's not going to make lines everywhere. But you got to be careful about which ones you cut, because ones like this, it does meet in the middle, but if you cut these off, it's going to be real flimsy, and I don't want to deal with that. Now, if I wanted to use this, I would just put a mask down, use this without getting that, put a mask down, and then use it on top of it. And I could do that for this, but I want some of them that are cut so I can see. This is another one that would be, you could do this, because they all do meet up. See, they all are attached, but only in a very small area, and it would be too flimsy. And this one, if you cut the edge off of this one, you're just going to end up with strips of, it just wouldn't work at all. So you got to be careful when you're cutting them to see, look at it closely and see what do you want to cut. And what I usually do is I take a black magic marker and I go around and plan my cuts like this. Now I probably would cut that whole part right there off. All that right there would be cut off. And you go around and decide. I would probably cut it off there and there. Decide what you want, and I'm just trying to get away from that terrible harsh line. I do not like harsh lines. Here I probably could go up and in, and see, just trying to keep the spirit of it without having to keep the whole thing. Now I'll color in where I'm going to cut. And this would help me. I mean, I can eyeball it now, but that's probably what I'd do on that one. That would give me a nice wavy border and it wouldn't look so harsh. And on this one, I'd probably do some real surgery on this one. I might even cut it all the way up into here and make it a smaller stencil, but get rid of those halves on the outside. But I don't know. I'll have to wait and see what I'll do with this one. But like on this one, I would probably cut all this off and just keep this all the way to the end. Do it on both sides. And then at the bottom, I could probably just cut in like that, these little V's. And this one, I'm probably just going to start hacking at it. So that's probably the first one we'll do. And this should be pretty easy. I'll probably just cut the corners off and make peaks out of this. Right there, and right there, and right there. It does alter the design somewhat, but it's going to keep you from having to, let me show you this one. Hold on, let me get my scissors. Be right back. Okay, so this one would be pretty simple to do. I can actually come down a little bit more with this. You can see better. All right, see this one, I would just cut little peaks out. Being careful not to cut past that. We'll do the same on the ends. It does change the design up, but I'm getting rid of all those, terrible straight lines that I hate. And usually I work, when I do collage, I use little pieces. So it's not a big deal usually, but what I'm doing now, some of them might be bigger pieces. So I wanted to make sure I had some good areas that didn't have those telltale lines in them. See, I'm cutting just little peaks. I'm not worried if they're all precise either. See? And I'm going to leave these little points. And like I said, it does change the design up on the edge. Doesn't change the rest of the design up though. And it's a much better design than having the edge to be that sharp line. But you have to be careful. Go through if you have to with a magic marker to see, okay, if I cut this off, what's that going to mean to the rest of it? Because I have done the accidentally cutting one where it was a stripe across and lost the whole stencil, so be careful. But I'm not the only one that does this. I've seen other people cut the edges off theirs. Well, I haven't seen them cut the edges. I've seen them use the stencils, same ones that I have, but with no edges, so I know they're cutting the edges off. And they may have a different technique. You need to look around. There's lots of people out there doing lots of different things. But I'll cut this one off, then I'll cut those others and come back and print. But I just want to show you this one when it's done. It's not that painful. These are, well, they cost money, but it's like, I don't know, about $9 or $10 for like 30 of these stencils. So, and I'll put the links to the stencils below in the description of the video. And if you go a little bit far and cut too much, it's not a tragedy. See, I'm cutting the little V's. I'm not being, I haven't got my little scissors out worrying about super precision. All right, now can you see what I did with that? See how much difference that makes on the edges? I might fix that one a little bit. It's a little weird, but there. Okay, see how much difference that's going to make from when you, let's see, I got this paper here. When you have the square, and you can see those squares, see, it's going to be much nicer. All right, I'll cut these others out and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've got them all cut out. These are the ones that I did. I cut the edges off of them, you can see. This one, it's still pretty square, and I might go in and do some more trimming, but that was the last one I did, and I don't know. I didn't know what I wanted to do with it, but this one, and you can see what I've done. And then there's this one. It has a direction to it now that it didn't have before. I might go trim the bottom a little more later, but we'll see. And like I said, I'm going to be working on sheets to put over my desk accessories, cups and stuff, because I want the whole desk decorated with things that have been, I guess it's still called decoupage, collaged over with my gel prints. So I'm going to do some with small prints. I still have a bunch in my pile to use, but I just felt like gel printing today. And I'm going to use the same colors I used for the rice paper demo because they look so nice together. And I'm just doing bits and bobs, so we'll do a couple prints and then that. I'm using the new rice paper that I've been working with that I got online, which I just love. It's got an slightly off-white tinge to it. Let's do some yellow. We'll meet in the middle with green. This is that Indian yellow from Golden Open. Ugh, I love it. I thought I picked up all my bits and bobs from cutting. I would like to have a work area just for cutting, a work area for gluing, and a work area for gel printing. I would like that. And since I do have this full size, I should have, but there's always something I'm working on. And then in here, there's some of my, I sell on eBay, and some of the stuff from that is in here. And let's start and see how these look now. Yeah, that one's going to need doing because it's still going to be very squared off. Okay, let's put this over. Well, I get an area here that's not very covered. Ooh, that's pretty. And then maybe this area down here. We'll do the top part. And I'm still going to do it in pieces. I mean, I'm going to cut pieces, not like whole sheets for them. Yeah, I do like that. There's some good usable stuff on there. Now let's pull it up on top of another one that I didn't. I think that was a crayon rubbing one, or it might have been a graphite one. I don't know. No, it was a crayon rubbing, I think. But I'm going to put things on top of it, and it will become out acceptable. Very nice. All right, let's go over the top of this. Ooh, I thought that was orange. Oh, I guess it's red. That's fine. I want to use all the colors. Just in little places. Here and there, a little bit of red. And I'll pull some of that up. Oh, that's nice. Nice and busy. Let's go over this a little bit more with red. Just a little, I think. A little bit more interest. All right, now let's pull this up onto here. I don't know how many sheets I'm going to need. I think I'm going to do 4 cups because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 cups up here with pens in them. I got one that I'm going to keep the way it is. This is an old, I used to do face jugs when I did pottery, and this is one of my favorites. So he's going to stay here, but the others are going to be in cups. My brushes and that, and cups matching that elephant that I did. Oh, that's pretty. A little more subtle than I was looking for, but let's do another one. Let's put all, what, 4 of them on there? What one did I not do? Let's do this one. And that one. Let's hit it with blue. And then pull it up. Now actually for doing this, usually I'll use the really crappy, well, not crappy, it's a Liquitex, the non-fast drying, should I say. It's not crappy paint, it's good paint. Even the craft paint is good paint, I mean, if you use it right. But I usually do the first layer in that, and then pull it up with the paint that will stay wet longer. Let's throw a little red over it too, for excitement. See if we can get some purples going. But, now, put this on top of something. See if we can brighten up that one we just did. I want vibrant color on this stuff. No. Oh, now that's much better. Look what that did. Much better. I like that. Let's see what else we can do. Can we pull up the rest of it on this? Let's start again. Yeah. Some nice areas in here. I want it nice and busy. I don't want, let's use some of this. This is Artist Loft, Aqua Green. Now this dries faster, so I might be able to pull the whole thing up without waiting too long. I still have a little bit of red on there, so we wipe that off onto a piece of paper so I can get most of it off. Well, not all of it, but most of it. Ooh, but it does dull it down to a nice antique look, doesn't it? Ooh, I like that. I do like that. I want this one to be dominant. This side out. And the one that looks like brains. And this one. All right. So let's pull that up onto something. Here's one that very, very dull, but let's just see what happens when we highlight it with this. Get a tissue to give it a good rub down. And don't do what I just did. I moved the paper. I should have rubbed it with my hand to make sure it was fast to the sheet before I did anything. Trying to make sure I get bits of all of it up. Okay. Ooh, that helped that quite a bit. And see, this color came up off the stencil because I had the side that I printed last up. You can get some really interesting stuff doing that. I'll have to remember to do that on the next one. All right. It's not dry yet, but we're going to go over it with red. Thought I had an orange up here. I have a yellow. Let's do the yellow. Let's use a different brayer and put it right on there. Let's see what happens. Oh, this brayer has just been cleaned, but it's sticking. Doesn't want to do what it's supposed to do. Now I'm just barely touching it. At the top anyways. Down here, I want to do this with this very, very wet, sticky side up. All right, let's go through and take it from here. And I'm overlapping these to try and get a little bit more interest. The next layer will probably all overlap in red. Where's my tissue? Now this, if you're using this rice paper, it has a fuzzy side and a not so fuzzy side. You put for printing, I find the best way to do it is the not so fuzzy side down. Okay, let's see what we got. Very interesting. Look at that. I even like there where it's white. Let's see if we can pick up a little bit more. All right, that didn't work. Let's try it this way. And that's what I'm doing today. Let's go over the top of this with some red and be done with it. And I'm not even going to clean it or worry about cleaning it. Or worry about cleaning the stencils. Whatever's on them is on them and will come up on the paper. Let's hit it with red. Doing my primary colors today, I guess. But as you can see, with them cut, you don't end up with those harsh squares. Yeah, I do want to do. I want to just pull this up before I see if I've got an edge that's needing something. Ah, here we go. Pull part of it up with this. I'm using this because I'm trying to get what's on the stencil, not just... And as you can see, I ripped this paper when I pulled it up earlier. Not pulling it up off the plate, but off the table. There was something on top of it. This paper is easy to tear, but I don't find it's tearing on my prints, so I'm happy with that. Let's see what we got here. Ooh, that's pretty. What can we do? We have to do this over one of these that's dull on dull. Let's do this end. And there's my touch of red. And I'm done for now. I'm going to go in. Maybe watch a episode of Farther Brown, which is what I'm on now. I'm trying to get to the end of it so I can see that new series. It's a spin-off, Sister Boniface. So I need to go in and watch. I think I'm down to the next to the last one. Well, I don't like it, but I like this part. Maybe I can pick up what's left of it here, so I can be done for the day. But yeah, this does tear easy for doing, when I'm doing my collage. This let's see, I just tore a part of it. But it doesn't usually tear when I'm pulling it up off the plate, which is what matters to me. That's not bad. So I've got that one. And I've got that one. And where we went over this one here, this is from earlier in the week. And this one. So I've got some areas that I can add with what I've got. I really, really like this here. Purpley blues. I might do some just the blues and purples. The touch of green there. I like that. But yeah, I'm going to be using small sections, and I'm going to tear them in strips like I did for the elephant. and put them down the side of my cups so that I can have a matching desk set here. Hopefully I won't get carried away and cover everything with it, but anyways, that's what I'm doing, cutting my, you can see how cutting these made a big difference for the edges of them. So I'm not getting that harsh squares anymore, which it doesn't really matter if you're using pieces, but when I rip them in strips, I don't want the middle half of the strip to have a harsh line across it. That's why I'm using this now. And I will do a few more. Probably stay with the primary colors and maybe this Artist Loft Aqua Green, probably this and the primary colors, and I'll just stick with that. But I'm going to put on one more layer, cover it with white, and then go in the house, and when I come out later, I will pull that print. I love to do prints that you just leave on there. Let's throw some yellow. I'm going to let that dry while I clean up everything. Then I'm going to cover it in white and pull it up all at once. Maybe put a little red on it and something else. Not bad. Now I'm going to let that dry, cover it in white, pull it up, and that will probably be the thumbnail for my video. Thank you very much for viewing my video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm just out here playing today. Like I said, I'm going to make me a whole desk set to match my little elephant. Put a like if you like it. Subscribe if you want to see more. Hit the little bell icon if you want to be notified when I come up with videos. It's usually Wednesday and Sunday. And usually. Sometimes I slip another one in there. But and thank you very much for viewing my video, and you have a lovely day.